There I was, standing with my boots getting stuck in the mud at the edge of what used to be a big dam, now a wild, rushing river tearing through the shiny new houses that Stone Creek Homeowners Association had built on my land without permission. Stop right there. That's me, Elias Thorne, the guy who watched a flood wipe out a whole neighborhood. You're probably wondering how I got here, why nobody could stop the water, and what made me let it all happen. It all started when someone betrayed me, stole what my grandpa left me, and started a fight I didn't begin but was definitely going to end. When my grandpa Amos Thorne died, he left me more than just land. He left me something special. A huge piece of wild country with fields so big you could breathe easy and woods, so thick they could hide all your secrets. And right in the middle was a dam he built with his own 2 hands after living through a flood that almost drowned this whole valley. That dam wasn't just rocks and dirt, it was proof of how tough he was, like a castle built to fight against angry nature. He signed it all over to me in a will that was as clear as clean mountain water. For years I lived peacefully, working in town and spending weekends fixing fences and walking on top of the dam, watching the seasons change the color of the hills. I thought that peace belonged to me. Then came the letter, bright white paper with the fancy gold logo of Stone Creek HOA stamped on it. I wasn't part of any HOA. My land was outside town limits, protected by old zoning laws from way back. But the letter said my property was now under their community rules because of new county maps that got passed through some sneaky town vote. I got curious, then really mad when I stormed into the next town meeting and saw a slick-haired guy showing off colorful maps with my land gobbled up into their Stone Creek expansion like it was never mine. That's when I met Miranda Hale, the HOA president, a walking nightmare with a smile sharp enough to cut glass. She acted all innocent, tilting her head like a confused bird, saying it was all legal and just a survey mistake that got fixed. I left that meeting with worry twisting in my stomach. The invasion happened fast. Surveyors stomped through my fields, without saying a word. Bright orange flag stakes popped up like weeds, each one like a knife in my inheritance. Then the bulldozers came rolling in, cutting roads through the pasture where Amos taught me to ride. Foundations for 58 fancy craftsman houses went up in messy rows before I could even blink. I fought back hard with a lawyer, a good man named Tom Carver, but even he got scared when he saw the names on the paperwork. County clerks avoided me, my filed complaints disappeared, and Miranda's smile never changed while her board members nodded like trained dogs. They made me look like the crazy person, the stubborn fool holding on to old papers. At the next meeting, Miranda's voice dripping with fake sadness suggested I take their generous buyout before progress left me behind. I stood up, my voice booming, and swore I'd never sell what my family built. The room went dead quiet. That's when things got really ugly. Violation notices piled up on my truck. Fines for made-up code problems stacked up like bills. One morning I found a sign in my yard saying my own land was a development zone and I was trespassing. The sheriff's deputy just shrugged, calling it a civil problem. Every door got slammed in my face. A clerk at the county recorder's office risking her job secretly told me that Stone Creek HOA was paying for council campaigns and getting zoning exceptions and inspection passes through secret deals. I was outgunned, outsmarted, and outvoted. Every protest I filed got met with a threat to sue me back, saying I was harassing them. I couldn't win fighting them straight up, so I did what Amos would have done. I played the long game. I went quiet, stopped showing up to meetings, let the stakes stay in my fields, and nodded politely when Miranda waved from her shiny black SUV. While they celebrated selling lots like conquerors, I wrote down everything. I took photos of every construction rule they broke, every ignored environmental law, every bulldozed tree. I recorded conversations, saved letters, and dug up shady zoning approvals from public records. In Amos's old workshop under the dam, I built a fortress of proof, waiting for my time. They thought I was beaten. They didn't know the land doesn't give up just because you put pavement on it. They didn't understand the dam. 80 years ago, a flood had swept through this valley, wiping out homes, fields, and entire families. Amos, then a young man, carried sandbags with neighbors, helpless against the muddy tide. When it was over, he promised it would never happen again, No engineer, just stubborn as heck. He spent years building that dam with stone, earth, timber, and pure willpower. It held back the mountain's anger, keeping the valley dry while other counties drowned. But time makes people forget. The HOA saw the dam as an ugly thing, something to flatten for cul-de-sacs and fountains. They paved over drainage channels, moved creeks around, and one day I watched from the trees as a backhoe tore into the dam's shoulder. Not deep, but enough to wound it. I wanted to scream, to fight. Instead, I stayed hidden. They didn't just disrespect the land, they didn't know it, and that was going to destroy them. I stopped taking care of the dam. No more patching leaks, clearing channels, or fixing up cracks. I let junk pile up, silt, build up, and pressure cook. I became a ghost wandering the woods while they threw barbecues on half-finished patios. When fall rains came early, I sipped coffee on my porch watching puddles form in their perfect lawns. Winter turned into a soggy spring, and I walked the dam's edge, noting wider cracks and sagging earth where the backhoe had hit. I didn't break the dam. That would be a crime. I just stopped saving it. Nature doesn't need my help to get even. The HOA's arrogance made things happen faster. Their storm drains got clogged, lawns slid into ponds, and moved creeks fought back, ignoring their blueprints. The first big storms were a warning. Sinkholes and unfinished lots flooded basements. Miranda blamed weird rain, ordering more dirt, more fixes, more fees for homeowners. They ignored the ground shaking beneath them. I stayed quiet, nodding when I saw Miranda at the gas station, her smug updates about Stone Creek's success sounding empty. It wasn't revenge. It was justice as old as the mountain itself. The rainy season hit like a punch. The first storm rolled in steady and mean, pounding the valley until the air buzzed with tension. From my porch, thermos in hand, I watched the rain swallow the mountains in mist. In Stone Creek, porch lights flickered like fireflies. I knew the clay would swell, the topsoil would crack, and the dam, wounded and neglected, wouldn't hold. Hour after hour, I walked the old fields, now a patchwork of half-built homes. Cracks split new sidewalks, water pooled in cul-de-sacs, seeping into basements. I passed Miranda's mansion, all columns and fake stone, and saw her in the window, yelling into her phone. Construction crews scrambled, piling sandbags and digging. Trenches that only made the flood worse. It was almost beautiful, like a tide erasing a sandcastle. The second storm was colder, angrier, roaring down the mountain with revenge. The air got heavy, my skin prickling. The dam groaned, leaks widening, into muddy scars. A fist-sized hole spat water, then another. I stood on a hill, rain stinging my face, as the earth shook with a roar that rattled my bones. The dam gave way, not an explosion but a slow, brutal collapse. Tons of angry water tore through, shredding trees, reclaiming its ancient path straight through Stone Creek. Homes vanished, roofs floated like trash, streets buckled, swallowing cars and mailboxes. Miranda's mansion held for a moment longer, her silhouette screaming on the porch, then the eye. Water hit, turning her lawn to liquid. The house split, one half sliding into the flood, the other collapsing in a groan of snapped columns. In minutes, Stone Creek was gone. Emergency crews waded in too late, their sirens useless against the mountain's anger. I watched, dry and calm, heart steady. Guilt tugged, but satisfaction roared louder. I'd warned them, filed notices, sent emails, all recorded and ignored. Legally, I was clear. Insurance adjusters came poking through ruins, denying claims. Act of God, they said. Negligence, the lawyers shot back. Miranda sued everyone, county, developers, me. Nothing stuck. Investigations uncovered her empire of bribes, fake reports, and illegal filings. Homeowners sued, banks folded, and Stone Creek's name became a curse. Miranda lost. Her SUV, her jewelry, her pride, fleeing to a cousin's house broken. The HOA dissolved in lawsuits and shame. Quietly, I filed for adverse possession. No one fought me. The land, muddy and scarred, came back acre by acre. I rebuilt the dam, hauling stones with old-timers who remembered Amos. It wasn't fancy, but it was strong. I let the fields go wild, creeks find their paths, deer return. On a crisp fall day, I planted a cedar post by the highway, hanging a sign. "Welcome to Thorns Hollow. We respect the land." Below, in smaller letters, "Built by nature, guarded by memory." At dawn, I sat on the dam's crest, coffee in hand, watching the valley glow gold. Scars lingered, a warped manhole, a tilted fence, but nature was patient. I thought of Amos, his hands shaping this land, of Miranda drowning in her own lies, of the flood that took her kingdom and gave mine back. The mountain rumbled, not angry, but content. I raised my thermos to the past, the land, the truth, and smiled as the sun flooded Thorns Hollow with light.